This is Jed Disler, and welcome to the Piano Maven, your friendly podcast guide to piano recordings. I would like to thank you for continuing to take out subscriptions through my Substack page, and I've provided a link to do so, and paid subscribers get free downloads at the beginning of every month, so it's well worth you're paying for a subscription, but you can also get the podcast for free, of course. Anyway, I want to talk today about the pianist Jorge Bolet, who I've spoken about on this podcast before. He recorded Franz Liszt's 12 Transcendental Etudes on 3 occasions. The first time in the studio for RCA Victor in 1958, although that recording omitted 3 of the etudes, numbers 4, 8, and 12. And then Bolet recorded them complete, I think in the early 1970s for the Spanish Ensayo label, and these were later reissued by RCA Victor. And then in 1985, he made a digital recording of the 12 etudes for Decca. And these are generally really good and very sensitive, although not always quite scintillating interpretations, although there are plenty of great moments. However, I want to talk about a live broadcast performance of the Transcendental Etudes with Jorge Bolet that took place at the Tanglewood Festival on August 4th, 1964. And this broadcast you can find on YouTube, and I've provided a link to do so, although I have had a CDR of the Liszt for quite some time. And in these performances, Bolet is on far more communicative form than in any of the commercial recordings. His playing is very rhetorical and tends to go more for expression than sheer speed for the sake of speed. But there is a sense of dynamism and drama and forward impetus and a genuine feeling for the grand manner, with lots of attention to inner voices and bass lines that give his performances a lot of textural dimension and depth. The problem is the piano doesn't really hold its tuning all the way through the performance, but, I think you can get past that. And Bolet really takes chances in a lot of these pieces, especially in the etude number 10. He goes really wild in the coda in a way that he certainly did not in the studio recordings. And his performance of Mazeppa is far less clattery than usual. I mean, not by his standard. He was never clattery in this piece, but this is a piece that pianists just tend to bang the hell out of it. But he doesn't do so in this Tanglewood performance. And then Ricordanza and Harmonie du Soir have beautiful long-lined phrasing and great sustaining power. Now, Feu Follet, the 5th etude, may not have the stunning transparency and the effortless speed of the Sviatoslav Richter performances, but Bolet takes all kinds of chances in this piece with unusual left-hand voicings and these sudden dynamic surges and many accents that just catch you off guard. I think it's quite an interesting performance. The Liszt etudes on this recital, by the way, followed Bolet's very individual and fascinating account of the Beethoven Piano Sonata No. 31, Opus 110, which he never recorded commercially, although there are some later broadcasts with him playing this. There also are some terrific encores from this recital. And again, you can check out the recital by following the link listed in my episode description. It's kind of sad that Jorge Bolet's international career would still take 10 more years to really solidify after this 1964 recital. But here, the 49-year-old Bolet still has a lot of the young firebrand in him. And by the time he signed with Decca in the late 1970s, he already was a grand old man of the piano, and he didn't always have the fire and the pizzazz that he displayed in his youth. Of course, there were many wonderful exceptions in the Decca recordings, but if you listened to these August 1964 Liszt Transcendental Etudes, and you just have to wonder, where were the critics? Where were the publicists? I mean, could there not have been room for such a genuine romantic pianist, even in a literalist zeitgeist like the late 1950s and early 1960s? It makes me wonder. Anyway, we are thankful that this broadcast recital exists and that it's so easily accessible. This is Jed Disler, and you've been listening to The Piano Maven, your friendly podcast guide to piano recordings, and I look forward to being with you for our next episode.